Today we're going to go back to pivotal scenes in chapter 11 and 12 and some other parts of the story to try to gather key text evidence that will help us figure out and visualize what is going on in Among the Hidden as Luke starts to consider his run over to the Sports family house. Let's take a look at this scene right here at the end of chapter 11. Luke is thinking about going over potentially to the Sports family house to see if indeed they do have a third child. As he questions what he can do about it, he starts to determine that maybe a crazy idea grew in his mind, sprouting new details daily, that he could consider going over there and checking out the house for himself. On this page, page 52, he's thinking about sneaking into the Sports family house to actually meet that other third child. He feels like he could do it, and it was possible, theoretically. And in this section right here, he talks about plotting his route and how that would go. He spent entire days plotting his route. He'd be hidden by bushes in the barn through much of his yard. It was only about 6 feet from there to the nearest tree in the Sports family's backyard. He could crawl on his stomach. Then he'd be hidden by the fence the Sports family shared with the Bird Brain family. All those birdhouses might actually help. After that, it was only 3 steps to the Sports family house. They had a sliding glass door at the back, and on warm days they'd been leaving it open, with just a screen. He could go in there, but would he dare? On 37, we're going to go back to chapter 8 now, and reread this section to help us visualize the scene even further. Back in this chapter, Luke had been peering out the window, waiting to see if the entire neighborhood had left for the day before he dared to go into the kitchen. Let's look at some of that description. The Big Carr family had 4 expensive cars sitting in their driveway. The Gold family all had hair the color of sunshine. On page 41, we also see some more description. All the driveways were empty. Nothing moved, not even the flag on the Gold family's flagpole or the spokes on the Bird Brain family's fake windmill. And then, out of the corner of his eye, Luke caught a glimpse of something behind one window of the Sports family house. We know he saw that by looking out of the back vents. He sees that child's face. So the back of Luke's house must face directly to the Sports family house. Today we're going to start to visualize what we noticed in the previous chapters with all that text evidence that we just reviewed. You can draw houses to show Luke's path as he's planning to go over to the Sports family house. Don't worry if you're not the world's best drawer. I am clearly not. I would draw a very basic, sketch here is totally fine, but as a good reader, we want to try to visualize Luke's path, his daring path, over to the Sports family house. So we want to pay attention to that text evidence that we just took a look at. Again, I would do a very basic drawing. It's very important to label your drawing as you see me doing here. Because if you're like me and you're going to do more of a basic drawing, I would definitely want these things labeled so I know exactly what it is. If you're a better drawer than me, which I'm sure most of you are, you still want to label things just so that I know exactly what you're talking about as you sketch out this scene of Luke going over to the Sports family house. Our chapter 12 ends with him leaving his house, going out the back door, and there's lots of details that you want to add into your picture. Your picture should not look exactly like what I am drawing here. These are just ideas of things you would want to add into your picture. The fence, the windmill at the Bird Brain family's house. We know that the Bird Brain family has lots of bird houses on their actual fence. Trees, where's the Sports family located to according to where Luke's house is? Think about Luke's barn. Where would that go in your picture? Think about the field that Luke's dad and brothers work in. Where would that go according to the picture? And try to visualize really that whole scene. You're going to imagine as you read, and imagine as we read what the scene would look like as Luke takes off from his house and heads over to the Sports family. And you're going to see this as an assignment on Teams. So when you're done drawing your drawing, you are going to use your computer to take a picture. And then on Teams, there will be an assignment, and you can attach your picture from your computer to the Teams assignment and submit it for a grade.